Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Have you forgotten me, human? The alien woman claimed to. Noah's ship was on autopilot, which gave him just enough time to regret every single life decision that had led him to this exact moment. Cramped in a cockpit the size of a food processor, sipping lukewarm protein broth that claimed to taste like chicken surprise and actually tasted like betrayal. Varelian 6, he muttered to no one in particular, tapping the side of his helmet with the spoon. Dust ball of dreams. The planetary scan blinked a lazy green. Nothing out of the ordinary, just another dead moon circling a gas giant that wouldn't shut up on the sensors. That's when his comms lit up. Not with static, not with distress, with music. Soft, slow, melodic, and unmistakably wrong. No Earth frequency used violins anymore. Ever since the AI uprising of 2130, violins were banned. Something about their tone confusing targeting drones, but there it was, playing like some ancient memory wrapped in velvet. Noah reached forward and tapped the console. The music stopped, then a voice whispered through the silence. "Have you forgotten me, human?" He froze, not because it was spooky. Well, okay, a little because it was spooky, but more because it felt like the words reached under his skin, grabbing something he didn't even know was there. "Nope," he said out loud. "Definitely haven't forgotten you, mysterious intergalactic creeper." He slapped the comms panel shut and leaned back, and that's when she appeared. Just appeared. In the middle of his ship. 1 second empty air. The next, a woman. Tall, pale, dressed in something halfway between ceremonial armor and a space opera's wardrobe malfunction. Her long ears flicked slightly, sharp and graceful like they'd been carved by light itself. She looked around, sighed, and sat herself cross-legged on top of his nav console like she owned it. "Still dramatic, I see," she said, picking up the empty protein broth packet. "What in the void is this?" "You can't be here," Noah said. "This is a Class 5 certified single-occupant patrol ship. No guests, not even unauthorized ethereal weirdos." "I'm real, Noah." "Then how are you here? I didn't hear a door open." "You forgot me," she said again, this time quieter. "You really did." Noah stood up, banged his head on the overhead panel, sat back down. "Okay, fine. This is happening. Let's pretend this isn't a hallucination caused by cheap ration food and mild oxygen deprivation." She rolled her eyes and stretched. "My name is Salira. I don't expect you to remember it. You were Kale once. You're Noah now. You were always stubborn in both lives." Noah narrowed his eyes. "Kale? Sounds like someone who overcharges for spices in a spaceport bazaar," she chuckled. "You used to say that too, right before you blew up a munitions depot and rescued 300 of my people." "Listen," Noah said, standing again, more cautiously this time. "I don't know who you are or what game you're playing, but I've never been to your planet. I've definitely never been named Kale, and I'm absolutely certain I've never rescued 300 of anything." Salira looked at him, long and strange. "You really don't remember. Even your eyes are different now." I upgraded to tired with a hint of sarcasm. She slid off the console and stood, far too close for comfort. "Your neural patterns match exactly. The scan said 99.8%. That's higher than some twins." "Right? So I'm a recycled rebel soldier with amnesia who used to date an alien elf with attitude problems. Sounds legit." "We didn't date," she said quickly. "That implies flowers and awkward silences. We fought together. We bled together. And yes, there were moments. But you died, or so I thought. Until you popped up on an Earth military roster, flying around this dump sector like you hadn't spent years trying to bring their empire down. Again, don't take this the wrong way, but you sound kind of like a conspiracy theorist who got lost in the wrong holo novel." Salira's gaze sharpened. She touched a device on her wrist, and suddenly, holographic images flickered to life around them. Noah saw himself, or someone like him, in darker armor, speaking in a language he didn't recognize but somehow understood, standing beside Salira on a battlefield. In one image he was cradling her, bleeding. In another, they were arguing in front of a burning flag. "None of this makes sense," he muttered. "It doesn't have to," she said gently. "Not yet, but I've spent 5 years tracking down fragments of your signal. 5 years chasing whispers that my best friend, maybe more, might still be alive." He blinked. "Wait, 5 years? You spent 5 years looking for me? Well, not just you, also the other half of a stolen quantum drive, but mostly you." "Oh, thank you for clarifying." She smiled, for real this time. It was like watching a sunrise glitch in slow motion. You're just as annoying as ever. And you broke into my ship. Pretty sure that makes you the annoying one. You left your dimensional firewall on standby. Amateur move. He rubbed his temples. I'm gonna need coffee. You hate coffee. You always said it smelled like carbon death. I changed, he said. Maybe I like carbon death now. Salira studied him like a puzzle with half its pieces burned. I'm not here to force you to remember, Noah, but I need your help. Something's coming. Something big. And the man you used to be, he made promises. We all did. If you don't believe me, at least follow the trail. See what your past self left behind. If I'm wrong, I'll vanish. You can go back to your tragic freeze-dried dinners and corporate patrol routes. Noah stared at the flickering images one more time. His past self, Kale, smiling in the middle of a storm. He hated how familiar it felt. Fine, he said finally. One detour. One wild goose chase through the cosmic archives of maybe insanity. But if I die doing this, I'm haunting you. Salira grinned. You already are. Noah regretted agreeing to the detour exactly 4 minutes into hyperspace. Not because they were being chased, not because of some ethical crisis or haunting vision of his mysterious past, but because Salira insisted on piloting his ship. You're pulling the drift angle too sharp, he said, clinging to the side panel while the stars outside stretched like terrified noodles. I'm optimizing for gravitational slingshot efficiency, she replied calmly, flipping switches he hadn't known existed. You're optimizing for vomit, mine specifically. The ship banked again. Noah yelped and braced himself as a warning light blinked. That's red. Red is never good. I don't even know what that red light means. It means the artificial stabilizers are adjusting to non-standard warp turbulence, she said, completely unfazed. Exactly. Red things shouldn't be casual. Red should mean brace for explosion or run, fool, run. Salira gave him a sideways glance. You always complained about the color codes, even back then. One time you painted over them in pink. That sounds like slander. I would have used teal. Pink's too optimistic. The console beeped as they emerged from hyperspace. In front of them, the void split into layers of dull orange gas clouds and a single jagged ring-shaped station floating like a forgotten relic. Is that the place? Salira nodded. What's left of it? Outpost Zenth 7. It's off all modern charts, disconnected from the EarthNet grid since the armistice. No surveillance, no witnesses. Cozy, Noah muttered, scanning for power signatures. Let me guess. Ancient secrets, dangerous truths, and possibly a haunted vending machine? Something like that, she said. They landed with a gentle grind that sounded like the station was chewing on its own regrets. Noah stepped out in full gear, checking the atmospheric filter. Still holding, but barely. The place stank of rust, ozone, and abandonment. All right, he said, flashlights sweeping over derelict hallways. What exactly are we looking for? Don't say your destiny, or I swear I'll walk back to Earth. We're looking for a memory relay, she said, ignoring him. A backup system your past self left behind before your final mission. It was encoded to respond only to your retinal scan. And no, you can't blink at it, ironically. Noah's boots echoed as they walked deeper into the station. Occasionally, a pipe hissed or a light flickered, but mostly it was silence. Heavy, expectant silence. So, why the ears? He asked suddenly. Salira blinked. What? The long ears. I mean, you look human enough, except for those. Are they decorative? Functional? Heat sinks? They enhance auditory range, she said, and they're beautiful. I mean, yeah, obviously, Noah said. You could pick up gossip across solar systems with those things. Salira smirked. You used to like them. You said they reminded you of waveguide antennae. Romantic. They reached a sealed chamber with a biometric lock panel. Salira nodded at it. Try your eye. Noah leaned in, half expecting the thing to explode. Instead, it scanned, chirped, and slid open with a soft hydraulic sigh. Inside was a curved chamber lit by faint blue strips, and in the center, hovering just above a pedestal, was a cylindrical data core flickering with ancient pulses. Noah stepped closer. The moment he touched the interface, everything around him vanished. He was standing in a field of stars. Not metaphorical, literal, like someone had scooped up a chunk of the galaxy and made it a floor. Floating before him was himself, but different. The figure wore darker armor, a bandolier of alien tech across one shoulder. His hair was longer, his expression older, a projection, a memory echo. Kale, the projection said, voice steady. If you're watching this, it means the contingency plan worked. Sort of. They must have buried you deep if you don't remember anything. So here's the short version. Earth lied. We all did things we regret. But what we did together, we did for something bigger than war. Images flickered, Celira beside him, rallying a crowd. A battle under twin suns, a shared moment in silence. A kiss, quick and urgent before diving into chaos. You loved her, the echo said. Even if you don't remember, your bones do. And she never gave up on you. Noah felt a tightness in his chest, something he couldn't name. She'll help you finish what we started, or stop you if you lose your way. Either way, trust her. The projection faded. The room returned. Noah staggered back. Well? Celira asked. He stared at her, eyes wide. I was ridiculously handsome with longer hair. You're impossible. And I think I believe you now, mostly because I don't think my imagination could fabricate that much drama. Celira tilted her head. You sure? Your subconscious is kind of theatrical. They both turned as the station groaned around them. Something shifted. A low tremor rippled through the floor. Uh-oh, Noah said. Did we trigger a booby trap? Please tell me this station doesn't self-destruct like a bad spy movie. Celira checked her scanner. No, but we're no longer alone. Energy signatures. 3 ships, no Earth flags. They're coming in fast. Oh great, Noah muttered. Let me guess. Intergalactic fan club? Lost pizza delivery guys with laser cannons? She grabbed his arm. We need to move, now. They raced through the corridors, dodging falling panels and flaring conduits. I thought this place had no surveillance, Noah shouted. I said Earth surveillance. I didn't say anything about bounty hunters. They made it back to the ship just as the outer hull shuddered from impact. Noah jumped into the pilot's seat and launched without waiting for clearance. Behind them, Outpost Zenth 7 began to implode, collapsing in on itself in slow, cinematic destruction. Well, Noah gasped, catching his breath. I'd say that went surprisingly well. You activated a memory core, triggered a gang war, and probably started another interstellar chase, which is still better than patrol duty around Varelian 6. Celira collapsed into the co-pilot seat, laughter shaking her shoulders. Kale would have said the same thing. Noah glanced at her. Yeah, well, Kale had a flair for trouble. I'm more of a coffee and quiet life kind of guy. Keep telling yourself that, Noah, she said. It gets funnier every time. The ship's kitchen module. If you could call a square meter of aluminum and questionable appliances a kitchen, had precisely 2 working components, a humming rehydrator unit and a toaster with aspirations of sentience. Noah was locked in a stare-down with the latter, convinced it was judging him. I know you burned my waffle on purpose, he muttered, jabbing the interface. The toaster buzzed defensively. Oh, don't play innocent now. You've got that smug glow. Admit. Celira entered mid-interrogation, holding 2 steaming mugs of something that smelled like pine needles and existential dread. She slid one toward him. Still arguing with the food processors? They started it. They're literally programmed to nourish you, not taunt you. They know what they did. She didn't argue. Instead, she pulled up the star chart overlay on the main display and enlarged a blinking waypoint pulsing like a heartbeat. Next stop's Mirrodin Drift. We'll have to use a pocket-fold corridor to bypass the surveillance ring. Noah sipped the drink. It tried to bite him back. Is that the one where physics starts melting and you occasionally smell your own childhood? Yes. Also where black market memory nodes are traded in zero-G bazaars. It's where Kale used to meet informants. Sounds delightful. Hopefully less explodey than the last place. Celira leaned back, studying him. You've been different. Since the station, because I saw a hologram of myself making rebel speeches and getting romantic in high def with an alien woman who claims she knew me in another life? That might have something to do with it. You remember any of it yet? Bits, feelings, weird flashes, like I know how to dismantle an EarthCorp encryption node without knowing how I know it. Muscle memory of the brain. Is that a thing? Probably. I'm not a neurologist. I just shoot people and flirt at inappropriate times. They entered the drift field 2 hours later. Space around them bent in lazy waves, the ship's stabilizers hiccuping every few seconds as if reality itself were drunk. A few asteroids floated sideways. One of them was wearing a spacesuit and holding a sign that said taxi. I love this place, Celira whispered reverently. Of course you do. It's like someone gave a wormhole a migraine and called it a transportation hub. They docked near a structure that resembled a stack of vending machines welded together by very confident amateurs. Inside was a labyrinth of stalls, lights, voices, and gravity malfunction. At least 3 languages were being shouted simultaneously, one of which might have been a form of interpretive sneezing. "Stick close," she said, winding through the crowd, "and don't touch anything that winks at you." That is excellent advice for life in general. They stopped at a nondescript booth lit only by a single blue lamp. Behind the counter, an old insectoid with translucent wings and the demeanor of a tax auditor sipped something purple. Celera nodded. "Phoenix, long time." "Longer than you think," he rasped, eye stalks twitching toward Noah. "And this must be the ghost." "Ghost adjacent," Noah said. "Hi." Phoenix clacked his mandibles thoughtfully. "You were taller in the files. Gravity changes a man." He reached under the counter and pulled out a crystal the size of an egg. "Encrypted memory shard. Original. Rebel signal code stamped on the inside. Kale's retina only." Noah took the shard carefully. It was warm, throbbed almost, like it knew him. They found a quiet corner in a decommissioned observation dome. The stars outside spun like lazy fireflies. Noah held the shard to his temple and flinched as it activated. Images, not like before. This time they hit. A planet, lush, bright, explosions in the sky, Kale running through trees, Celera bleeding, laughing, throwing him a detonator. Another flash, standing before a council of her people. Angry voices, his own shouting back. Then silence. A single promise whispered across a table. "I'll make them stop, if I have to burn everything." Back in the dome, Noah stumbled. Celera caught him. "You saw something?" "Yeah. I saw a guy who made really bad decisions for the right reasons, or what he thought were the right reasons." "That sounds like Kale," he looked at her. "He made a deal, didn't he? With someone, something to erase himself." She hesitated. "Yes, to protect the last rebel outposts. Earth's AI overlords wanted your mind for interrogation, so Kale cut a deal. Wipe everything. Let him be reborn as just a soldier. Quiet. Loyal. And you've been chasing me through star systems to undo that. You were more than a symbol, Noah. You were mine." His breath caught. "That's a weird thing to say to someone eating reheated mystery noodles 5 minutes ago." She smiled, soft and sharp all at once. "You always said love needed a sense of timing. I've been terrible at it." Before he could reply, the wall behind them exploded. Gunfire. Screams. The floor tilted. Phoenix was yelling in several frequencies. A bounty crew in mech suits stormed the dome, targeting them. "Untraceable location, huh?" Noah shouted over the din. "They probably traced you. Kale was always sloppy with exits." Noah dragged her behind a console. "We're gonna have to fly out." "You think?" He lobbed a flash charge. Light erupted. They bolted. Back in the ship, engines whined as Celera rerouted auxiliary power, and Noah punched in exit coordinates. The bounty ship fired. Shields crackled. The toaster exploded in protest. They jumped. Silence. Just for a second. Then Noah laughed. Hard. "This is the worst road trip I've ever taken." "You say that now," Celera said, limping to the seat beside him, "but wait until we visit the ruins of Eris Kai. That's where things really get confusing." He groaned. "Define confusing." "You kissed a diplomat to start a war, on purpose, as part of a plan." He blinked. Was it a good plan? No, but it was a very you plan. Noah sat on the floor of the ship's cargo bay, surrounded by scattered tools, half a disassembled gravity regulator, and what he was fairly certain used to be part of a coffee maker. Or maybe a weapon. Either way, it had wires sticking out of it, and it shocked him twice. "I'm just saying," he said, holding up a screwdriver triumphantly, "if I've really got the muscle memory of a legendary rebel, I should be able to fix this stabilizer without electrocuting myself every 5 minutes. "You're not fixing anything," Celera called from the console. "You're just arguing with it more politely than last time." "I'm trying to build a rapport, establish trust. Machines respond to respect." The regulator sparked and fizzled. Noah recoiled. "You sweet-talked it into setting itself on fire," she said. "Maybe it has trust issues." They were drifting toward Eris K, a shattered moon that used to be part of a diplomatic hub before orbital diplomacy turned into orbital warfare. Now it was mostly a ring of jagged ruins and quiet, flickering ghosts of what used to be ambition. According to Celera, it was also home to the Vault of Echoes. "Which sounds unnecessarily dramatic," Noah said as they prepared to land. "Is everything from my past named like a heavy metal band?" "I don't name the ruins." she said. But yes, you had a flare. The vault's access point was nestled inside a canyon, beneath the remains of what might have once been a planetary embassy, or a very fancy noodle bar. The ship touched down on a ledge, just stable enough for their weight, and definitely not stable enough for any wrong moves. Noah looked down. I miss parking lots. Inside, the path to the vault was sealed by a biometric lock encoded with quantum signatures. This one might shock you, Celira warned. Great, let's make this a tradition. He touched the panel. It lit up instantly, pulses of light swirling into a spiral before the wall slid open with a sigh and a slight groan, like the building itself was judging him. The Vault of Echoes didn't hold treasure, or weapons, or secret battle plans. It held memories, fragmented, recorded, and coded into light and sound. The rebels had preserved pieces of their leaders' minds here, locked behind safeguards only they could access. Why would Kale leave pieces of himself all over the galaxy? Noah asked as the vault lights activated. Because he knew he wouldn't survive the final mission, Celira said, and because he was too arrogant not to leave breadcrumbs. Nice to know I was dramatic even while dying. They found the memory pod labeled Kale Prime. It was surrounded by other pods. Celira recognized faces in some, ghosts from battles long finished. Noah knelt before his. Do I have to chant something? No, just press your hand to the interface. He did. The pod lit up, then burst into a swirl of light. He was standing on a battlefield again. Not in a vision this time. It felt real. The sky above him burned blue and red. Ships swarmed in the air. A dome-shaped fortress crumbled in the distance. Explosions rang out like punctuation. Kale, his former self, was shouting at someone. Celira, younger, more intense. Her face smeared with ash, eyes wild with grief. You can't just leave, she was yelling. You'll die. Then I die, Kale said. But they won't win. Not while we still have the fire. You're not fire, Kale. You're stubborn. Same thing. Then Kale turned to another figure, an old general with a cybernetic jaw, and handed him something glowing. A key. The neural shard Noah had touched back on Zenth 7. When he comes back, Kale said, make sure he knows. Make sure he remembers why. Then the memory blinked out. Noah exhaled as the vault faded and the present returned. Celira was watching him. You saw the last moment. He really did it. He chose to become me. She nodded. I thought, maybe this was some experiment gone wrong, some forced thing. But Kale wanted to forget, and now I'm stuck trying to become someone I don't remember being. You're not stuck, she said. You're becoming something new. I don't know if that's better or worse. It's yours. He sighed and stood. All right, enough soul-searching. What's next? Before she could answer, their comms lit up with a burst of static. Unidentified ship, came a filtered voice. You are trespassing in restricted orbital space. Power down your engines and prepare for boarding. Noah looked at her. Why is it always boarding? Why can't it ever be tea and polite conversation? They traced us. No, me. They ran. Back at the ship, they barely cleared the ledge before plasma rounds hit the canyon wall. EarthCorp's patrol cruisers, 3 of them, big ones, swarmed above, already locking on. Noah yanked the yoke, flipped the ship into a barrel roll it did not enjoy, and zipped between debris fields like he'd been doing it all his life. Which maybe he had. Celira fired rear blasters. I thought you wanted a quiet life. I wanted a toaster that didn't explode. But here we are. Missiles followed them through the rings. Noah dove through a narrow gap between crumbling satellite pylons and kicked the thrusters into overdrive. He didn't need the nav map. His hands moved on their own, through a collapsing tunnel of debris, around a decaying cruiser, straight into the drift fold. The Earth ships didn't follow. Silence returned. Eventually, the ship leveled out. Noah let go of the control. Celira just stared. You remember more than you're saying. He nodded slowly. Yeah, not everything, but I knew where that fold was. I remembered the angle, the exact time to jump. Kale's instincts. No, he said. Mine. I'm not just him, I'm both. And that means I don't have to do things the way either version of me would have. Celira tilted her head. That sounds dangerously like character development. Don't get used to it, he said. I still plan on arguing with the coffee maker tomorrow. She smiled, and for a moment, the stars outside stopped spinning. The ship was falling apart again, but at this point, Noah took it as a sign that things were going well. Do you hear that? He shouted, ducking under a sparking panel. Do I hear what? Celira yelled back. The slow death rattle of my confidence, he said, smacking the stabilizer with the flat of his hand. It responded with a hopeful hum and a puff of smoke. The mission was simple. Well, in theory, broadcast the truth, Kale's memory shards, the hidden rebel transmissions, the evidence of EarthCorp's manipulation. They had enough data now to unravel decades of lies. All they needed was a platform powerful enough to break through the EarthNet firewall and fast enough to survive the retaliation. So, of course, they were headed straight for Earth. You know, Noah said as they approached orbit, I always imagined my homecoming involving less criminal intent and more hugging my grandma. Is your grandma into orbital rebellion? She plays zero-grav chess and once knocked out a customs officer with a frozen turkey. So, maybe? The Earth defense grid lit up as they entered the upper atmosphere. Drones buzzed like angry hornets. AI targeting systems tracked their heat signature, and the ship's nav screen began a countdown it claimed wasn't ominous, just strongly suggestive. Ignore the countdown, Noah muttered. That's just it being dramatic. Like someone else I know. He narrowed his eyes. I am at least charmingly dramatic. They hit the stratosphere and punched through the outer comms ring. Salira fed the encrypted drive into the uplink port. The ship groaned. We're in, she said. Great, Noah said, gripping the yoke. Now we just have to survive long enough for 7 billion people to get the galaxy's most awkward voicemail. He turned to the camera. Hi, this is Noah, former soldier, alleged memory-wiped rebel, current fugitive with style. If you're watching this, then I guess the encryption broke through and you haven't yet been vaporized by your local defense grid. He paused. Salira nodded from behind the console. I'm not here to start a war, he continued. I already fought in one. Twice, apparently. I just want to stop it from happening again. I was Kale. I was part of the rebellion. I helped fight against what EarthCorps did to Salira's people, and then I gave up everything I was to keep those people safe, including my own memory. He leaned closer. They didn't tell you that, because they didn't want you to remember that the enemy once had a face. That face was mine, and maybe yours too. The signal pulsed outward. All across Earth and the colonies, screens flickered. Old records unearthed, testimonies played, Kale's promises, the truth laid bare. The retaliation came fast. Fighters scrambled, drones redirected. EarthCorp sent a shutdown signal. Too late. The signal had spread too far, seeded in the relay networks, bouncing through the galaxy. Salira looked at him. Ready? Born ready. Then memory wiped, emotionally confused, and then ready again. They dove, not away, but toward the tower. Central broadcast nexus, built into the cliffs over Old Geneva. The source of every signal, every feed, every narrative Earth had fed its people for decades. They weren't going to destroy it. They were going to rewrite it. Brace! He shouted as they slammed through the perimeter. The ship shredded across the outer walls, spinning into a controlled crash that was only mildly catastrophic. When Noah opened his eyes, he was upside down. Are we dead? He asked. Salira unbuckled from her harness. Probably not. There's still gravity. They limped out of the wreckage, dragging the core module. Inside the tower, alarms blared. Security bots marched toward them. Noah drew his pulse sidearm and waved it like a child with a toy wand. I do not have time for another identity crisis, he shouted. Back off or I'll start reciting rebel poetry. Salira accessed the central terminal. The bots paused. Did that actually work? He asked. No, she said. I hijacked their command chain. Oh, still counts. They reached the primary broadcast core. Lyra slid the module into place. Lights flared. A cascade of data erupted. This is it, she whispered. The final overwrite. Noah watched her. You really never gave up on me. You made me a promise, she said. You always kept them. Even when I forgot, especially then. The final upload completed. Across the planet, EarthCorp's narrative dissolved. People watched as rebels spoke, not in anger, but in grief. In truth, the fleet in orbit stood down. The retaliation command was revoked. A new transmission took its place, one that started with Noah's voice and ended with Salira's. Not a declaration of war, but of peace. Months passed. The galaxy changed, not overnight, but cracks in the old system spread light through the shadows. Noah sat on the balcony of a decommissioned outpost sipping something suspiciously herbal. Salira sat beside him, braiding wires into a decorative mess that may or may not have been functional. So, he said, what now? She shrugged. We could vanish. Live quietly, or cause more trouble. I vote quiet. You always say that, then something explodes. He smiled. What can I say? Some instincts are hard to rewire. She reached over, brushing a strand of hair from his face. Kale or Noah, doesn't matter. You're still you. He leaned back, watching the stars. Yeah, he said. And I remember now. She looked at him, what we were. He met her eyes, and what we'd be again. The end?